afternoon and welcome to another amazing episode of Peace Zone with Peace Ambassadors on your favorite channel, KAFTAN TV, Abuja. How are you doing today? I hope you are peaceful with yourself, others, and the environment, despite all the situations you are experiencing at the moment, either good or bad. I want to believe that you're doing well to manage the situation. Mind you, it's a temporary thing. And no matter what you're facing right now, it's going to always go at a point. So on today's edition of Peace Zone, it's going to be a special one where we'll be looking straight into something unique for the month. Remember, today is 31st of March, and this is a time to also use this opportunity to celebrate our women. So this special episode will be looking at the participation and involvement of women before, during, and after the Nigerians just concluded 2023 general elections. And on this episode, we'll be looking more into the status of our advocacy for socio-political inclusion of women in peace building and democratic processes. I am Moses Abolade, and you know, I'm your peace building facilitator and host, and I'm here with my co-host, Bilkisu, who will also be joining me to discuss this topic. And I'm happy she's a woman and she will be giving a whole lot of exposition too, alongside while we'll be entertaining our guests too. Bilkisu, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Moses.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And how has been the Ramadan?
Our Ramadan has been fine, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's good to know. And let me also say this regards to Mansoura. She's a bit under the weather. So we couldn't, she couldn't join us, but we also wish her quick recovery. And I just want to hope that she will gain her strength as soon as possible. I know you'll miss her, but Bilkisu is here to do justice to that. Okay,
to Mansoura, our thoughts and prayers are with you, wishing you speedy recovery. And also, it's good to have you here on this conversation today. I am glad we are doing something. I'm glad that we are doing something for the women at the last day of the month, which is 31st of March.
This is this
is the month of women. This is the month we celebrate women. Every March 8 is Women's Day, so we ought to celebrate ourselves. It's a great pleasure to be here on the show to celebrate this great day. As you already know, Peace Zone is a program designed and implemented by Peace Education and Practice Network (PEPNET) in partnership with KAFTAN TV, Abuja. This show is an interactive one, which gives you the opportunity to call and share your views on the topic of discussion. You can share your views via our email, peacezone2023@gmail.com, or you call in the studio line 080-852-60993. You should also note that for sponsorship and partnership, you should also send us email at pepnet@gmail.com, or you call our line 081-0966-1910. Once again, thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction and for letting our viewers know that you can call in to join this conversation. This is your show. It's a show to give you peace and to also help you become more in tune with what is going on around peace building across the globe. And we are using Nigeria as a case study for now. So, and that's why we'll be going straight into the topic of today, which is women's participation and involvement in the Nigeria's 2023 general elections. Joining us on this is Mr. Fikih Obaro. He is the National Program Manager for FIDA, FIDA Nigeria. He provides technical oversight and directions on the International Federation of Women Lawyers. He's an astute researcher. I have actually engaged him myself, been in several places where he spoke excellently on this particular topic. He's an expert and a special voice leading interventions on advancing women participation and mitigating all forms of gender-based violence across Nigeria. And it's a great pleasure to know that the International Women's Day, just like my co-host just mentioned, is something that both the United Nations, local news, everybody report something great about what has been happening, and those are the things we'll be discussing. But before we go into it, let me just welcome our guest. I want you to say something to viewers at home, Mr. Fikih.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to be part of this program. I believe that we're going to have an educative and informative program within this period. So I look forward to the conversations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to have you on this show. So let's get to it because of time. According to the different reports, either from the United Nations, just like I mentioned, and other news outlets, since 1999 to date, we have only 157 women that have been elected into different positions of the National Assembly, and into the National Assembly we have like 469 members for the National Assembly, while some of them are senators and some of them are members of the House of Representatives. However, compared to the male counterpart, which we know that many of them have had series of opportunities more than the female counterpart, we have over 2,000, let me be specific, 2,657 men who are 616 senators and 2,041 reps. During the same period, from 1999 to this date, have been able to been elected for similar position. But the one that broke the camel's back was the one recently, the 2023 general elections. We discovered that out of the 92 women that contested for Senate, only 3 won. It broke my heart though, but we know that several things will have constituted to this. And out of the 286 who contested for the seat in the House of Representatives, as at this moment, only 15 have been declared winners. So as someone who has worked with women through your role with FIDA Nigeria, Mr. Fikih, by the way, let me also use this opportunity to let people know why we are engaging FIDA in this, because FIDA Nigeria is the International Federation of Female Lawyers, with the aim of protecting the right of women at different levels for political participation. So I would like to know, what do you think is the problem? Why the effort of ensuring women to participate or to be on the table has experienced so much setback since 1990 now? I would like to hear your thought on this, Mr. Fikih.
Okay, fine. Very interesting statistics. Very interesting statistics. And just to cap up what you stated, basically, we found out that in this present dispensation, you just have about 3.7% of women that actually will represent their constituencies in the 2023, the 10th National Assembly. Well, that's what it means, the 10th National Assembly. You only have like 3.7%. Now, if you look at it statistically and the rest, it's been a decline. In 2019, it was as if we had gotten to the zenith because it was about 10%. 2015, it was 8%. And 2011, it was about 5%.
Okay.
And then, all of a sudden, it has nosedived now to 3.7%. And so, what does it really tell? It tells that there is decline in women's representation. However, I kind of understand that decline in women representation is different from women in political participation. We must have that understanding.
Can you restate that?
Decline in women representation is different in decline in women's participation.
Okay.
Good.
So what we are having is a decline in women representation, and that is as a result of systematic barriers. Systematic barriers has to do with cultural, religious, socio-cultural status. And so we found out that you are entering into a system where laws don't seem to be gender responsive, where politicians don't seem to mainstream gender into the political parties' affairs. And so it should not be looked at as from an isolated case. We have to look at the representation in the political parties. What is the level of representation of women? So apart from the normalized women leaders status, how many women do you see occupying prominent positions in the leading political parties? Absolutely none. And so, why do we say that? It's as a result of the fact that culturally and religiously, women have always been at the backbone, or at the back burner, especially when you look at it in the context of Nigeria and Africa. But it's not even fair to call Africa, because you have countries like Rwanda that has done better. Now, interestingly, a statistics just came up not too long, that Iran Iran, which has been a country that has tried to stifle women's voices for long. At this their present National Assembly, they have a representation of about 8%. Iran has
despite
8%, despite the setbacks, the stifling of voices, the undermining of women
and all that,
and the rest, you have 8% representation. And then you talk about Nigeria,
where there is
that has liberty, that celebrates democracy, with about 3.7%. So what it basically means at the end of the day is that there has to be a reawakening. There has to be serious engagements. There has to be smart approaches in ensuring that we have women's representation. And probably one of the issues is that we found out that women don't see themselves as a special constituency.
Maybe Bilkisu, who is a woman, will be.
Okay. Mr. Fikih, nice joining us in today's episode. So do you think, looking at the past election compared to this just concluded 2023 general election, do you think, 2019 and 2023, do you think women are fully involved compared to the last election?
Yeah, I could say that there has been a kind of reawakening in terms of participation.
Okay.
In terms of participation. But that can also be argued.
Okay.
That can also be argued. So if you look at the presidential election, in 2019, the total number of registered voters vis-a-vis the total number of votes cast, you could see that it was a 29% ratio. And this is inclusive of both men and women.
Okay.
So in 2019, you had 85 million registered voters. In 2023, you had about 96.7 million registered voters. But when you look at it comparatively in terms of statistics, there was a decline. You had 26%. However, well, it pertains to things. One, it pertains that the voters register needs to be really scrutinized.
That's another.
That's another point.
It needs to be fully scrutinized. Because we cannot, for now, really determine the authenticity and the veracity of the figures in the voters register. Because
which is also a problem.
FIDA Nigeria did an observation across 4 states. And now, in terms of followership and in terms of participation, we observed that in the presidential election, about 62.2% of the polling units that we observed saw a lot of women coming out to exercise their franchise.
Okay.
We saw mass participation in about 66.2% of the polling units. But just 2 weeks after the governorship election, it dropped to about 56%. So what's happened? It means that women were not fully motivated to, how will I put it, to pursue their common interest, which had to do with exercising their franchise at the governorship elections. So, this as me, just trying to just draw a chord here, this as it may, what it means basically is that in terms of numbers,
when it comes to numbers,
we are at a steady decline. But when it comes to picturing it from the mass level that we see on the field, then we can say that the participation or the awareness seems to be there, but it does not reflect in numbers.
That's very I think it's very germane to the discourse already. But because of time, we will go on a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be delving into the observation of FIDA towards during the last election, and how that actually contributes to giving voices to women. Please kindly stay tuned. While we come back, we'll continue with our guest, who is ready to do justice to the topic. Thank you, and stay tuned.
Markets, in collaboration with KAFTAN TV, presents Peace Zone with Peace Ambassadors.
And today is World Peace Day, and with us in the studio we have Moses Abolade, Peace Education and Practice Network Executive Director. Welcome to the studio with us, sir.
Thank you very much.
It is a weekly show designed to share peace knowledge and skills, discuss national, continental and global trends, and provide for mediation time where you can share your conflict situation with professional peace ambassadors and mediators. This zone commences on your screen from February 3rd, 2023 every Friday between 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Channel 124 on Startimes. For partnership or sponsorship and further inquiries, contact.
You're welcome back from that short break to Peace Zone with Peace Ambassadors, and here with us is Mr. Fikih Obaro, who is the National Program Manager for FIDA Nigeria, and he has been doing a lot of explanation on what has been the role, the involvement of women in the just concluded Nigerian 2023 general elections. And we are still on that. And I'll be going straight to the next question as what FIDA Nigeria, we know FIDA Nigeria has a situation room right now. Mr. Fikih, am I right? And I think I've experienced one of your engagement even when it was launched, and it's also one thing that we will be looking at. So I want to, how does your monitoring, how did it go, your observation during the election period and even after the election period, and do you think that the exercise has actually improved or had any value to women's participation in Nigeria?
Okay, I think for want of time, I will just bridge our observation into 5 phases. Okay. And it has to do, first of all, with participation, popular participation. And we've observed, which I've told you, that in the presidential election, it was about 66.2% of the polling units we saw women participating popularly. Okay. However, in the governorship election, it reduced to about 46.2%, which shows a decline and shows that more needs to be done in terms of awakening women's participation. Secondly, it has to do with mainstreaming. Mainstreaming in the sense of having female mainstreaming in terms of electoral security officials and also electoral officials. Okay. And so in terms of electoral officials, we found out that there was full gender mainstreaming. You had 50% of females involved in the electoral process.
50%?
Yeah. INEC,
which is very
officials.
Very encouraging.
You get it, INEC officials, whether hard doc or
even the security and all that.
No, but in terms of security, that it was different. It was different. In terms of security, it was different. We could not get real gender mainstreaming because I think we had about 20 to 25% of females being mainstreamed into security operations. Okay. So it certainly calls for more involvement of females based on that. Thirdly, has to do with priority voting. Okay. Priority voting was witnessed and observed in most areas where you found out that aged nursing mothers, pregnant women were given priority to vote ahead of others. Okay. However, as you said, we saw it in good measures, but we could not say that it happened all over the country. So I think in about 70% of the polling units, we saw these issues, but however, other polling units did not really recognize the fact that priority needs to be given to this set of persons, women with disabilities and the rest, ensuring that they participate effectively. So that's another issue in terms of observation. The fourth has to do with separate queues. So we also found out that in majority of the polling units we observed, separate queues were created for women to cast their votes. So it's ensuring that cultural and religious barriers are broken so that they can participate actively. And so we saw separate queues. However, we also observed that in some other areas, or in few areas, separate queues were not observed. Women had to vote with men. And we also found husbands try to monitor the votes of their wives voting. So it's ensuring that they vote for a political party of their choice or a political party that has been mandated in the house before they came to the polling units. So we saw micromanagement of women. Micromanagement of women in terms of that. And then finally, in terms of giving statistics relating to that, has to do with the overall conduct of the elections. Okay. And so we found out that, especially in the 4 states that we had real observations that had to do with Borno, Kaduna, Kwara, and Plateau, the elections were relatively peaceful.
Relatively peaceful.
Relatively peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, though there were some pockets of violence and they were relatively peaceful.
In those places?
In those areas. And that was as a result of the fact that before the elections, we were involved in pre-election security management.
Okay.
We were able to pinpoint high-risk areas where we observed and we predicted that elections may be violent and could restrict or impact on women's participation.
Okay.
And so we were able to have that design, conducted the research, provided the findings to security agencies across these states, and through our conversations and the US, they were able to deploy massively in these areas. And for us, that helped to stem the tide and quench the pools, which allowed women to participate. And so we cannot tell that the decline between the presidential and national assembly elections and the governorship elections in terms of numbers, we cannot tell whether it had to do with post-election violence from the presidential, which will now be a pre-election violence for the governorship. We cannot tell. But we heard reports that some days to the elections, there were threats of persons not coming out to vote.
Okay. Bilkisu.
Okay, Mr. Fikih. Okay, sending you this last question. Okay, you know, after the elections, we have seen reports of women who felt aggrieved, like in Adamawa State, Nasarawa State, and some other parts of the country. What's your assessment of this action by these women, especially in a situation where some of them had to go half naked in protest?
Being aggrieved is part of the electoral process, and I don't want to specify it that because you're a woman or because you're a man. If you're not, if you believe the process is not credible, then certainly you have the right to be aggrieved, and you have the right to exercise your options as known to law, as the case may be. And so it also goes down to the fact that there is lack of eternal democracy in the political parties. And because there is lack of eternal democracy in the political parties, you saw that a few women just emerged as candidates. And even the women that emerged as candidates, you found out that even their parties in some ways also backstabbed them. Look at the presidential election. A lot of persons don't even know that a female contested for the presidency.
Sure.
And a lot of persons don't also still know that the same political party left their candidate and adopted another presidential candidate.
So those is just because of time. I know we can keep going on and on. Is an extended conversation, and I'm sure that when we have the opportunity to bring you up again to continue this conversation, you will give us a positive yes, hopefully. But your parting shot before we wrap it up, and then my co-host will give parting words.
There is need for more serious engagement. 2023 elections have come and gone. A lot of persons are in courts basically to exercise their judicial rights. However, there is need for serious engagements with the incoming administration. Whatever ways we look at it, whether we are aggrieved or not, we need to engage seriously with the administration in terms of setting an agenda for women's participation. Okay,
over to you, Bilkisu. Thank you very much, our guest. Over to you, Bilkisu.
Okay. Special thanks to our guests for joining us on today's episode. Don't forget that for sponsorship and partnership, feel free to reach out to us via 081-019-66190, or you can send us an email at bizone2023@gmail.com. And you should also note that peace can't be kept by force. Peace can be achieved by understanding. That's the word from Albert Einstein.
Thank you very much, Bilkisu, for that parting word. And I want to say thanks to everyone who have joined us on this show. And deep appreciation to KAFTAN TV Abuja management and production crew, and the management team of PEPNET and the project committee of Peace Zone itself. We want to say a big thanks to everyone that is actually doing what they should do according to peace across the globe. Thank you very much, and see you next time. On this show. Bye for now.